Hi, my name is Mark Tyrrell of Uncommon Knowledge, and this is the video version of my 5 ways you, as a practitioner, can care for yourself for better service to your clients. I'm going to give you some useful ways we can all look after ourselves to be better able to look after other people. Now, before I get going, if you're a practitioner, you might be interested in getting my free Therapist's Toolkit, which contains my reframing book, New Ways of Seeing, plus 4 other ebooks, as well as over 40 editable worksheets to use with your clients, and some relaxing audio sessions specially created to help practitioners navigate the stresses of practice. The link is in the description and on screen right now. So on to the video. Now let's be honest, you're not always in the mood. So maybe you've just had a fight with your partner, or a final demand for that long feared bill, or you're simply just, well, not in the mood today. And I think that's fair to say that everyone doesn't feel like working sometimes. That's entirely natural. I mean, imagine going on stage as a stand-up comedian after hearing bad news, or not having slept, or having to face customers in your job in a high-end restaurant after being torn a new one by your crazy neighbor, or having just ended a meaningful and long-lasting relationship. So yes, any job can be tough sometimes. You're just not in the mood. But that doesn't negate the truth that delivering therapy can feel difficult and lonely sometimes. In a real sense, you need to be there for everyone as a therapist, or any kind of practitioner, in fact. We always have to be on our game every moment we're with our clients. We can't hide in the cupboard halfway through a session, or lament to co-workers if we work alone. We're on our own when at work. Our grief or irritations, or ongoing illness or worries and fears, our stuff has to not matter as we fully attend to our clients. And that can be tough if we're feeling generally overwhelmed in life. And practitioners tend to be, and I think in fact should be, naturally sensitive people. This is wonderful, of course, as it should be. We need to be attuned to life, to other people, to the ebbs and flows of existence, to appreciate deep feelings, and also to be able to read emotional nuance. And yet, as with all things, there are at least 2 sides to a sensitive nature. A strength can also be a vulnerability. Not surprisingly, studies have found that highly sensitive people may be more prone to emotional problems themselves. Absolutely no surprise in that. We need, in other words, to be able to harness and direct our sensitivity, not let it run riot and determine all our experiences in life. We can't, after all, pour from an empty cup. Otherwise, we risk running on empty and not getting anywhere with our clients. You feeling defeated and deflated, or burnt out and used up, helps no one. Being empty of spare capacity to help other people because you feel exhausted or wounded yourself is not fair to your clients, but of course it's not fair to you either. So prioritizing your own well-being is essential for being the best therapist that you can be. So I'd like you to think about, what do you do to boost your mood and energy? You might have far better methods than I'm going to mention here. And if you do, please put them in the comments below this video. Anyway, here are 5 practical strategies to boost your mood and energy before a busy week, but also between client sessions. So firstly, we need to prioritize the healthy completion of our own needs. During a safety announcement on an aircraft, you might have noticed that we're told to make sure our own oxygen mask is placed firmly on ourselves before trying to help others. This isn't a call to selfishness, it's practical. Unless you can breathe, you can't help others do so. Therapists, just like clients, need to ensure their emotional needs are met and their energy is replenished. When you meet your needs generally in your life in balanced and sustainable ways, you're refilling your capacity to help others. You create spare capacity within yourself when you meet your emotional needs in balance. A starving man or woman will desperately seek food in any situation, urgently seeking attention or understanding from our clients because we're so starved of these things in our everyday life, is definitely not what our clients signed up for. If we're not ourselves starving for attention when we come to see clients, we won't feel overwhelmingly tempted to try to get them to give us attention. So we need emotional and physical spare capacity to focus fully on our clients, and we need to meet those needs in other areas of our life. This doesn't mean a therapist needs to be perfect and have a perfect life in order to practice. Far from it. But it does mean they need to take steps to meet enough of their needs, enough of the time, so that the instinctive drive to meet them doesn't corrupt the therapy itself. When our core needs, such as the need for connection and meaning and achievement and control, are met, we naturally feel more energized and resilient. So take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you meeting your basic emotional needs in your outside of therapy life? How is that going? Are you getting enough social connection, for example? Even brief positive interactions with other people help to fill that need. Do you have something to look forward to outside of work? Are you giving yourself a sense of achievement, even in small ways like ticking off a to-do list or learning something new? Do you relax deeply sometimes away from work? Do you prioritize exercise, sleep, a healthy diet and moderate alcohol and sugar consumption, for example? Do you feel connected to some kind of a community? Is there someone in your life who accepts you as you are and whom you can share your feelings and intimate thoughts with? We can refill our cups bit by bit too, which leads me to the next recovery, or maybe I should say self-replenishment strategy, which is number 2, which is use the power of detail and small wins. So to have enough spare capacity to be able to give to clients, as I said, we don't need to have a perfect problem-free life ourselves, as if such a thing were possible anyway. But we do need to ensure we have enough gas in the tank, or more poetically, magical elixir in our cups, to be able to help heal other people. Focusing on small achievable tasks can help lift mood and create momentum. So for example, we could set a simple goal for each day, like just going for a walk between sessions, or preparing a healthy meal, or organizing your workspace. Completing these micro goals can give you a sense of progress and a feeling of control. Client sessions can sometimes be grueling and hard, and we can, if we're not careful, feel sucked into the depressive, anguished, trance-like mindset of some of our clients. The truth is, we need to decompress after and between client sessions sometimes. We need, in other words, to refill our cups by observing mindful transitions. So 3 is practice mindful transitions. So before and after sessions, take a few minutes to ground yourself. Simple mindfulness techniques such as focusing on your breath, or noticing sensations in your body, or stepping outside for a few deep breaths. Simple as it sounds, this helps you reset between clients and wards off emotional fatigue. One practitioner I know tells me that he shadow boxes after a session, leaping around, getting the blood flowing, getting everything moving. Another tells me she does physical movement too, in her case stretches. And another does a quick yoga routine, which is another form of stretching. And yet another walks briskly around the block to clear her head. Physical activity can lift mood and demark one session from another session, or a bad mood from your upcoming client. So changing state. One counsellor told me she does the daily crossword just to clear her head. The same practitioner also told me that she also does mindful meditation between sessions. But a large part of life can be, and perhaps should be, fun. So let's look at number 4. So 4 is engage in pleasurable activities. Okay, so healthy pleasures are a vital way of refilling your tank. Regularly enjoying healthy pleasures, such as listening to music or spending time in nature or savoring a favorite food, help us create that space and energy to help other people. So these small joys, they don't sound big in themselves, but they can recharge your emotional batteries and remind you of life's richness outside the therapy room. Not everything in life is struggle, pain, regret, panic, or fear, and we need to regularly feel connected to the truth of that. We can become stuck in problem mode if that's all we hear about, and it's often when we're not thinking about therapy and human problems that insights emerge from the unconscious mind, which is a kind of solution factory that is your subconscious mind. So play a sport, engage in a shared hobby, outside in nature if possible. You can almost feel your cup refilling during these times. Healthy pleasures should certainly be encouraged for our clients as well, but we need to take our own advice sometimes. So laughing, playing, and spontaneous fun are not the sole preserve of young kids. So if you don't already, seek out fun stuff in your life. And finally, we can use direct techniques to reset our minds and bodies. So 5, use self-hypnosis or deep relaxation. Self-hypnosis or meditation is useful for therapists as well as our clients. Even a short body scan or 3 things induction can help you access a calm, resourceful state and boost your energy for the day ahead of seeing clients. During self-hypnosis, I might access the feelings and sights and sounds and smells and tastes of walking a favorite path by the sea. Relaxing in a beautiful secluded spot, I might imagine any feelings of tension or tiredness filtering out of me through my fingertips, out into the ether, as in turn I start to be filled up by sunlight, warmth, and a healing energy. And this is a sort of little ritual that I do sometimes. This is also a great, perfect, mindful transition, which I talked about in tip 3. So I don't want to suggest that doing therapy is always hard or draining. Far from it, especially if you practice hypnotic therapy, because you tend to benefit as the client benefits. Many clients inspire us and energize us. Some clients can recharge us, make us feel great. We become so absorbed in their story, we forget ourselves and enter into that beautiful state of selfless flow and being in the zone. And after sessions like that, you tend to feel great, as if you've really done something. Some clients are entertaining, even funny, and all are fascinating, but the sessions are and should be all about them. Hearing terrible tales of hardship or horrific accounts of trauma can have an impact on us, even if we don't always recognize that impact at the time. The extremely busy philanthropist and scientist and general all-round polymath and businessman John Lubbock wrote, "Rest is not idleness, and to lie sometimes on the grass, under trees, on a summer's day, listening to the murmur of the water or watching the clouds float across the sky is by no means a waste of time. Tending to other people begins with tending to ourselves. Your well-being is not optional, it's essential. When we refill our own cup, we can truly give to others. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.